We are live.
Okay, thank you so much. And welcome everyone. This is our UAE edition of the World Franchise Expo. And this is an initiative which we are taking with whatever is happening in the world and how brands now, especially brands across the world in the Western world, are now looking at expanding into the Middle East, just like always, much more strategically, much more aggressively. And we will be bringing in, this is the first edition, but you will see us reaching out to new markets every other month during this year. And very happy to have and speak with Paul, who is the CEO of easyGym. I think for easyGym, UAE can be very interesting market, and I think I hope Paul echoes that thought. That's why he also wanted to kind of really have a bigger participation in the show, which we really thank easyGym, Paul and his team for that. So Paul, welcome, and a very big good morning to you.
And good afternoon your side. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Paul. So how are things in the UK? And I hope, I think we are hearing that now things are opened up.
Getting there. We've obviously made great strides with the vaccine program. Government's doing everything they can to help us get back into business, but we are, for now, still in lockdown till the sort of middle of April. But we look forward with optimism to the future.
Great. Likewise, an interesting thing is, Paul, that in UAE, in Middle East, even where I am speaking from, India, our markets are completely open. Yes, there are some restrictions which are there depending upon the virus situation, but we are open. And I think when we talk about when we are talking about the fitness industry, I think it really has changed a lot between sort of pre-lockdown and now, especially with the online aspect. Now, what are the so easyGym? How is easyGym really sort of imbibing that, and how you sort of see this fitness industry? Because in UAE, it's a fairly mature market and there are a lot of brands. So with easyGym offering, which is a great concept at affordable prices, right?
Yes.
You would see that the business would be back to normal as markets open up, or with some changes.
Well, the way we see life is change is inevitable. I think you need to change to be relevant in the present market and the future market. And to that end, we have been busy, and we were on this process pre-pandemic, but we continue to build digital assets to help us be more relevant to the audience of the future. So that's you will see in the coming months a number of important additions to the brand. So we're building a pretty big tech platform to accommodate a bunch of things, and we're also working on some interesting bolt-on boutique concepts that go alongside easyGym, because there are two parts to the model that, or at least to the fitness world, that is growing over the last 10 years and will continue to grow, and that's the low-cost model and the boutique space. People are looking for that experience too, and so we have built products to accommodate that.
Very interesting. So, Paul, let's come to easyGym now. When people, so of course, you and I know each other, and I know the background. But when people hear easyGym, I think they always, recall the easyJet brand. And
Yes.
so, you want to start with the background and the history you have with that brand, and how that culminates into the fitness business.
Yeah. So when I started this business over 10 years ago, one of the things we said was, how do we, recognize that we want to go into low cost? How do you position yourself from a brand perspective? And we happen to have people in our stable that knew to Stelios, and we felt that the Easy brand was the one that would allow us to really build that consumer trust that we needed. And so the discussion happened. He was very kind to accommodate, a young budding entrepreneur's needs at the time, and we forged a really good relationship. So we now have a very long-term relationship with him, many decades long, and we think, very, very strong positioning, because he is one of the biggest airlines in Europe, and so the brand keeps moving. As those interconnections and networks happen all the time, not only between Europe but also from the rest of the world as it come into Europe. So we have great brand presence.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a recall as well. And I think it somewhere connects with the ethos of the easyJet brand, which is standardize product and service, but at a cost which almost everybody who would want to, let's say, either fly, and in your case, actually join a gym, they don't even have to think about the pricing, but
Correct.
Still can expect a great experience in product. Is that correct? That's where you have connected the dots?
That is correct. And so also within the value segment, there is obviously different levels.
Yeah.
Easy stands at the top end of that level. So the experience of our model is at the top end of that experience. So there's nothing cheap about the brand. It's just been built in a very efficient way. So it uses the leverages of technology, leverages of great design to help deliver these outcomes.
Right. And I think that's one thing which we are also franchising has always been, especially, we talk about food and beverage fitness, has always been very infrastructure led. And it was all about, okay, how many you put up, you lease this expensive location, you put in the equipment. Same with F&B, which is like 60% of the industry, and same with fitness as well. But now the game has changed, and I think with COVID, it has just accelerated that any retail business now, that includes a gym business, cannot fathom without the use and sort of a combination of technology, because the ease of customer is the priority, and you can't think without technology. And I think you have done that. You're doing it before, and I think you have just kind of, just like the market, you also have extended that pace.
That is true. So what you'll see, because they're all in the very close to end of the pipeline in terms of the development, but we will exist not only in the physical gym space but also in the home space. So watch this space. We are going to go quite big into the home market, because I think the consumer is looking for the fuller experience, where yes, they want to come back to the gym. I think it may be a little, there'll be a bit of time. The world has adjusted because there'll be this flexibility with a lot of people work from home and go to offices. So we feel that the brands that are going to be the leaders of tomorrow need to position themselves in both markets, both the home market and the physical gym market.
Wow. You want to expand on that? Because I think when we talk about home markets, it is so flooded right now. So you have apps, you have even those wearable things, which, people say, and then you also have, people coming at your home. So that is sort of coming up. So you're talking about that. That's the home market you're looking at?
Yeah. So there's quite a few things that will be coming. We have a can't share too much detail on the call on this one, but we have a home product that I think could revolutionize the industry.
Wow.
But it's basically a gym in a box, but not something that's necessarily seen out there. We feel that there's a gap that we found. So we'll be unveiling that in the coming months. And then that physical product we supported with wearable technology, digital assets, so you can work out, but it also can be used without either of those two. So you can still have an efficient workout without any extra. So that's coming. Physical products are coming. And then of course we've got the physical gym with the bolt-on boutique concepts, which give that, that's that sort of additional experience through the support of trainers live on site.
That's so good. So I think easyGym seems to be ready now. Now that the world is back on, and you have been able to use this. Of course, this was a very hard time for all of us,
Yeah.
but you have been able to kind of step back and then accelerate what was maybe at a slower pace. And now, when you are actually expanding, it's
Correct.
not just about that gym box, but you're ready to compete with all fitness under the easyGym brand, both at a retail level and also with technology at home. So it's coming as an overall a brand experience where if somebody signs up with easyGym, it's not just about when he or she is kind of logging in at the gym, but you're going to stay with them so that the customer is much more closer to you. That sounds very interesting.
Correct. There's a very full picture coming out, including a nutrition app. So we'll be coming up. So it's covering the full spectrum. The technology platform we're creating is not just a platform that only content that we create will be available. This
Okay.
platform that we're building will be open to the world. So content creators from anywhere in the world can contribute to this platform. So it's going to be a very big,
Interesting.
broad platform. So I think it's one to watch. It's coming.
And I think I have to catch up a lot just to that how because we are partners in India. So it sounds very, very interesting, Paul. Now let's start. I think you have a presentation. Do you think we can share that, and maybe that will further sort of solidify what we are discussing?
Yeah. So the presentation is really some of the stuff I've mentioned on the call are the things that are coming. The presentation is about what's available right now. So it's
sure.
But I'm happy to just obviously expand as we go through it.
Sure. And I think I would like to add, see, I've been in franchising for 15 years, and out of that, a majority of that is being spent with international brand development and master franchising. Now, anybody who is looking at any opportunity under the master franchise structure would be looking not for the next 1 or 2 years, but it's a long-term investment, 10 years, 20 years. So it's interesting that you have been able to build this overall, you've topped up the brand with what is relevant today, but also with what you mentioned about platform, you mentioned about nutrition, you mentioned about delivering, like having classes at home. I think you are somewhere involved the new customer behavior. You want to be with customer wherever they are, just like the way other categories are doing. So it's very interesting. So anybody who is looking at now a master franchise opportunity for easyGym in fitness, I think easyGym has been able to really make it much more sort of competitive, because you have all these different leverages where once a customer comes in, you would have a better chance to of kind of keeping them, because it's a competitive market.
Yeah, I think so. And I think before I go into the presentation, because it won't be featured in that, but I should at least mention at a high level, the master deals that we're looking to do. So as I mentioned at the start of the call, we have easyGym, which is the big brand, but we've built up some sub brands that are the boutique concepts. So these are the kind of experience concepts that are always led by a trainer. Now, the way we're looking at it is we want a master to effectively own the rights to the suite of brands. So you'll have easyGym, and then the boutiques are Pack 45, CuboFit, easyGym Studio. These are kind of sub brands of the big one. And so any master will have at their disposal the ability to have a big easyGym with the bolt-ons attached to that gym, but they can also make the choice to actually put a single standalone boutique concept in a place that might be more relevant. So they can pick and choose how they wish to deploy the brand. So a more affluent conurbation could have a boutique concept because some people are prepared to pay a bit more for that experience. And so you could look at it. So we think that what we're offering is almost like a 3-in-1, 4-in-1 franchise opportunity.
Sure. And I think, I know I'm using that analogy, but that's 60% of our business. In food, we have the same, thing working, Paul, that you can take a brand in a 10,000 square feet, but you can also fit it in a food court. So it also, because it also comes down to, and it is so much of relevant in your business, which is real estate. So when you have to open a gym, you're talking 20,000 square feet, 30,000 square feet. So that's a larger piece of real estate. And then, but when we're talking about a Pack 45, a boutique, that you can put in like what, 2,000 square feet. So you can put that in neighborhoods. The throughput is different. The investments are different. So a master franchise would have an ability, an option to not just look at putting up 10 gyms in Dubai, but you can also have other 15 boutiques which are not going to be in malls, but they will be in neighborhoods. So you have a much better chance of connecting with the customer, and also, of course, added top line.
Correct. And I think the reason for that is when we've viewed the progression of the different models over the last 10 years, the two big growth areas, as I mentioned, is in low cost and the boutiques. So we've built that around, because you've almost got to be going with the times, and so we recognize that early and have been working on these concepts for some time now.
Great. So let's put up the presentation now.
Okay, I may need to share the screen if that's okay.
You can. You're a panelist. You can.
Okay, thank you. If you guys can give me a few seconds while I organize myself. At this moment, Venus, I'm not able to. Would you mind unlocking it? Sorry, Venus, I'm not able to share it at this stage.
Can Kirti from Franchise India, can you please help? There's some logistical issue. Paul is not able to share his screen. But I can see share screen. But host disabled participants share screening. Okay. Yes. Franchise India, could you please come in? Hello. I don't see anyone. Hello. Can you hear us? Let me speak to somebody at franchise. Give me a second, Paul.
No problem, Venus.
Paul, you can do it now.
Okay.
I think they are saying that. You can.
No, I can't. But
it's still not able, Vijay.
I wonder if it's because of the two screens that's going on.
Maybe. Hi. It's done. Paul, I think they're saying it's done now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vijay.
Let me know when you can see the screen.
We can.
Okay, perfect. So I will skip through some of the stuff because I think we covered some good grounds earlier. So we discussed who we are. Just as a reminder, with the airline, I appreciate this is a very strong European brand, but as I mentioned, because it involves travel, lots of people around the world know the brand. But just for interest's sake, there's almost 100% recognition in the UK, and Europe is high at 90 as well. So it's a tremendous brand in the European space. We started in 2010, so we've been going at this thing for more than 10 years. And then just talking about some of the history. Traditionally, we have built pretty big gyms at 20,000 square feet. We feel that in the current climate, I think that it's really important that size of real estate is reviewed. We believe that there's a better model at a smaller size, and we would always encourage that. When you do have the big one, then those lend opportunities to carve out the boutiques, because that's a high yielding concept. But that'll be the most important takeaway from our historical experience. We would say, going forward, err on the side of slightly smaller units rather than going too big. Typically, just at a high level, the gyms would be they take circa 10 weeks to set up in terms of the big box. The smaller boxes in terms of the boutiques are a lot quicker, so that's important to know. We have 13 sites that are open in France. When I caught up with the master a couple of weeks ago, they've more than doubled the number of units over the lockdown. So they'll be looking to reopen with about 28 sites, according to the conversation I had. So that's quite exciting. With quite a lot in Paris. So they've acquired some interesting sites in Paris. I've visited a few of them. So France is making strong headway.
Wow, but that's very interesting. Now, if I can ask the question on the back slide. So in France, it's very expensive real estate,
Yes.
very competitive. Now, are you going into neighborhoods, corporate areas? Any sort of insights on those points?
Well, they started in those kind of towns. So Bordeaux, Montpellier, slightly smaller towns. And they would locate themselves, in areas that are traditionally where we would encourage people to set up, which is where there's footfall, passing traffic, next to homes, next to where people work. These are always the fundamentals of this model. I think the low-cost model, in our experience, works best when you do that. If you try and set up a low-cost model away from everyone else and expect people to drive specifically to that, it doesn't quite work. It needs to be where the action is. That way you minimize your marketing expenditure, because there's eyes on the brand, people see all the action, and it becomes a very easy sell. So we would always encourage locating the building in areas that are very visible to the eye.
Great. So this is very interesting. So if I can summarize for anybody looking at the opportunity, you own your own 16 gyms, which was the first 7 to 8 years. That's when you kind of really invested heavily in the brand, expanded your own corporate sites. And then,
Yes.
of course, you've started franchising 2018, 2019.
Yes.
And so out of that, France is highly and heavily activated. That's a very great story. You have done Kenya. We are doing India as well. And so I think I'll just add one more point. A brand like easyGym can be very interesting for master franchise groups of existing quick service operators, because you already have access to a lot of real estate where you already are operating, and the key thing about easyGym is business model is that you will be looking at high traffic locations. So if you're an existing, let's say, operator, it will just you can add a different portfolio to your business, but you would have the same fundamentals in terms of the brand and the real estate locations, equipment as well. It's actually, although equipment is different, but in both the businesses, it's very. And why I'm saying this, Paul, that UAE has such a large availability of existing food and beverage operators in comparison with fitness operators. I'm just trying sort of, to kind of, connect dots there, because there's so much of similarities, and an existing large sort of or mid-size operator of international brands, this can be an interesting addition and would also drive. And the difference between these two is that fitness business is high margin business in comparison with the QSR brand. So it can be an interesting addition, specifically if you are an existing master franchisee or an operator.
That's correct, Venus. And I would say that when we think about our brand and our model, we think of it as a retail business. We talk about retail rollout even within our own business, because there's so many fundamentals that are similar. The one benefit, I guess, with gyms is that they don't have to exist at the same sort of real estate space. So, for example, true retail is typically ground floor and I guess the additional floors above, but we can exist on the first, second floor where the rent is a lot cheaper and be equally successful, so long as we have visibility in terms of signage. That's key.
Sure, but it also then adds that you already if you already have existing relationships with mall operators, then you let's say you are having 4 shops
Yes.
at the food court or at the bottom floor. You can always go to them. Okay, I mean, I want a bigger plate on the top floor or whatever floor. So I think it's all about maximizing on your existing capacities, whether it's operations, whether it's marketing and sales, whether it's even infrastructure. So that can be an interesting addition.
Agreed. And then going back to the same point about the master and the rights to multiple brands, is that they can pick and choose. So depending on what space is available and the demographics, you can choose to say, okay, well, I only have 1,500 square feet, and you can put a boutique concept. And if you have a bit more, you can do a bit more. So there's a lot of flexibility in the arrangement with us.
Sure.
The next slide is really just trying to remind everyone about the principles. So we've talked about location, which is, I would argue that location is probably the most important factor in determining success or failure. We've thankfully been largely successful, but where we've got it wrong, it was because of demographics. So we always stuck to the fundamentals of being visible and all the rest of it. But it's also important to note for the audience that the low-cost model does best when you target sort of a middle market to upper middle market space. I think if you go too low, it doesn't quite work, and I think that's important for the audience to know, because we've been there and done that. And when we've gone into places that are economically deprived, because we fundamentally believe that this model could exist everywhere, what we found was that there is a bottom line. So I think that's important to note. So we've made the mistakes, but hopefully that knowledge then helps others to avoid.
Sure. Low cost does not mean that it will only be applicable to the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And I think the brand itself, the subscription price is cheap, but the model itself is not cheap. It has to work on super efficiency. It almost is like the no-frill airline business. It almost is like the no-frill hotel business. You have to work on, you still have to have a very strong brand, because people always will transact because you have a brand name, but you have to be very efficient in terms of, but the infrastructure is similar. You are just, you have just offloaded, those, the fat, which if I may say, but you have to work on super efficiency, and that can only work if you have a great location. And for easyGym, the location would be the top market as well, especially with the boutique model, pack 45. You can definitely compete with the known. I would not name them here, but you can compete with the bigger, let's say, names. But it can easily fit, and Dubai has multiple neighborhoods like this, both in the outskirts as well as in downtown, where you can fit an easyGym at a reasonably priced real estate. Mall, neighborhood, doesn't matter, and it can do well. But
Yeah, and I
yes,
think
it cannot be in a lower at the bottom of the pyramid neighborhood. I understand.
because it's worth noting that our best performers were actually in the most expensive areas. So whether that was in the heart of London, for example, just off on Oxford Street, just off Regent, which is a very expensive part of London. We've had sites in Fulham, surrounded by £1 million homes, and so these are the sites where, yes, there's a lot of affluence, but because of the model, the vibrancy of what we offer, it's always been attractive to even the very wealthy.
I agree, and I think it's somewhere that audience of today, they don't come with the baggage of yesterday, in the sense that an Uber is taken by somebody who is starting their career, and also taken by somebody who is an MD of a company, right? So it's actually that flattening that hierarchy, and easyGym kind of stands great brand promise, great experience, but almost anybody can afford it, but it still needs to have those key components of ensuring that at the infrastructure level, those criteria are met.
That's right. And then, I think it's also worth noting, just because just so that people know this, is that and credit to my investors, they timed it well, but they managed to come out with a very profitable exit a couple of years ago, because there was great demand for what we were doing. But because we had already made the commitment to franchising at a global level, we felt that we had made all the mistakes that had been ironed out through the investments we had made over the years, and this resulted in an exit for my investors. I acquired the business with the management team, and since then we've been focused on transitioning the business to franchising as well as digital. So that's the focus in terms of the backstory.
Sure.
We've talked about the concept, which again, just to remind everyone, it's high value in all the key touch points. So technology is top quality. The access control, which is the money gate system, is top quality. The equipment with Precor, who some of you may know, was acquired by Peloton. So yeah. we go with the best. So those are the things that we consider key touch points. But then we then through technology are able to strip away all the frills. So for example, we don't have what most traditional gyms have, which is a receptionist. That's all been dealt with through technology. We monitor the gym 24/7 through CCTV coverage. We optimize the allocation of space so that 75 to 80% of space is committed to training areas, which is where people are most interested in, and we reduce the size of the changing rooms and showers, because people use our model in a different way. It's not quite set up in the way where you have steam rooms and swimming pools, so that those are expensive costs to have in your model, and we strip all of that away. So that's really what the concept is. And then the boutiques are very interesting too, because they can be fitted out, again, very economically, but they are high yielding. So in terms of the model, you have a entry tiered price, and then there's a value add for people to access the other parts of the business, i.e. the boutiques.
Sure. And in the UK, what is the subscription price, Paul?
So on average, we're talking about £20.
£20 a month.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very competitive.
Extremely.
that actually competes with even pricing in India.
Yeah.
So if to deliver that experience in 20 pounds in the UK is very hard, and I can imagine. And I think any partner who is looking at the business has to know that easyGym is a affordable gym, but to deliver that experience in 20 pounds in the UK is just very hard. And they have been able to do that consistently for more than 10 years. And the reason to franchise it is that now I think the time seems right to share that across the world, the format which they have perfected for over 10 years under the Easy brand name.
That's right. And then, the next side is really just breaking it up. So you've got easyGym, the big box, Pack 45 is the mini box, if you want to think of it that way, and then digital is the digibox. So that's kind of just some of our internal names, but they basically show the split. I've got a little video here, if that's
Sure.
okay. Thanks.
Sure. Very impressive.
That's just the inside view of what a typical big box gym would look like. This is just an overview representation. This is a slightly reduced concept where we, in line with how we think people should think about building up the next series of gyms.
Now this is 16,000 square feet.
Yeah, this is a bit smaller than the one. The one I've just showed you is close to 20.
Okay.
This is slightly smaller because we do think that the world is going to adjust a little, where maybe there's just a little bit less people going to the physical gyms, maybe more will be participating at home, and that's the reason why we're creating the digital assets, so we can capture value at both sides, recognizing that the consumer may change ever so slightly.
Sure.
Pack 45, again, I've got a little bit. Yeah, so sorry about that. So I hope that gave you a little insight into both the easyGym model as well as Pack
It
45.
does. It tells a bit about the brand and the business, and also that you have spent a lot of your resources, time, and attention in building both the formats. Because and I know both the formats, so I can say that. But both the formats have every attention to detail. So even Pack 45, it is a business in it and by itself. Yes, easyGym does have Pack 45s, and it has come out of that. It's from the same family, but a Pack 45 will survive in any sort of a decent neighborhood as a standalone business.
Correct. And then post show, if people are interested, I can share with them more detail around the
Surely.
the two other concepts we have. So I've mentioned Pack 45. We have another brand called CuboFit. Very
Okay.
interesting concept in that it's, if people are familiar with CrossFit, uh,
Yes.
CuboFit is sort of a CrossFit light concept. So we have patented our own design for a rig. So it's sort of a group rig. So if you, in the picture that you can see in front of you, these are typically rigs that have two sides. So the person that you can see, and sometimes there's another person on the opposite side. But we've created our own rig which has four stations in one. It doesn't exist in the world, and we've patented that for ourselves. And but what it does is it allows for group workouts with the barbell, and it uses a lighter set of equipment, because what we feel is that there are a lot of people in this world that like the concept of CrossFit, but are intimidated by the big weights and the big bars, just like this person.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, not many people can do what this person is doing. But what we've recognized that people still want to move in the same way. People still want to squat like this person's doing, but they don't want
Yeah.
to feel weighted by these big bars and all the rest of it. So we've created a concept that is very accommodating. It uses wearable technology. We have a concept that works a lot with zone systems, and we have a protocol which we've adopted into our business, which is, so most boutiques advocate for hitting what they call the hit zone, or the red zone, where it's always about push, 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 push. We have a completely different view on how training should be. So we advocate for people to train in the green zone with very small periods in which they're in the red zone. So to the outside consumer, that's a much more inviting concept than simply pushing people, constantly, because I think that's not sustainable. It leads to injuries. People forget about how to do things correctly in terms of technique and form. And so we recognize all of those things and have adjusted our model to accommodate what is, a concept that's more for the majority than the elite.
Sure.
So
Makes
so
sense.
we have a couple of concepts that, not on this one, but I'm happy to share more detail for those that may be interested down the line.
Great. So partnering with easyGym as a master franchise, because, and why I'm bringing back because ultimately, Paul, you're looking for somebody to come in as a master,
Yes.
either for UAE or a bigger territory or any territory. You would want them to have a sense that if you partner with easyGym, you are actually getting into a full blown fitness business, not just a gym business. It's actually a fitness company, and which can really sort of get you in a business of fitness where it is today and where it is going forward.
Correct. Because what we feel is we don't want a situation where someone has bought the rights to easyGym, and then they find that a competitor boutique comes around and they start taking a slice of their members. So what we're saying is recognizing that we've come up with a small stable of concepts that the master can choose how he wishes to deploy them. So I talked a little bit earlier, certainly it was in the presentation earlier, about the concept of a hub and spoke model. So you have
Right.
your hub, but then your spokes can be easyGym plus Pack 45. It could be easyGym plus CuboFit. It could be just Pack 45. It could be just CuboFit. So it gives you this ability to pick and choose which concept to deploy where. And I think that's very important because the master can create this network that becomes very competitive in across the two spectrums of the landscape, low cost and the boutique experience, and compete very favorably with anyone in the world.
Sure. So people who are in the bakery business would really understand this, because that business does adapt to hub and spoke model. So makes a lot of sense for.
Okay. The next one is really just how we think about it. So we have, again, internally this process that we go through with every site that we build. So it's about getting, doing your analysis, understanding the demographics, understanding the people, picking the right site, making sure that you have the ability to have good signage, and then following that, it's then about great design. Ensuring that you create the right platform. And I'll give you a little example. So when we acquired Oxford Street, this is public, so it's fine for me to say, but when we acquired the Oxford Street site from Virgin Active, sometime back,
Okay.
One of my investors said, open up the shop. And I said, well, we're not going to open up the shop until I adjust the layout, because the traditional gyms, like Virgin, have a different type of customer. So their model is different, and then that's their model. So they will have 50+% allocated to saunas and steam rooms and lounges and all the rest of it, whereas we had a different model. So we delayed our opening because I stripped everything out. We ripped up everything and overlaid our model into it. So at that time, Virgin Active had about 3,000 members in the heart of London, and our adjustments led to over 10,000 members. We touched, we're on the borderline of touching 10,000 members. So same bit of real estate, but the model changed, allowed 3 times the number of members who were perfectly happy, but without making those changes, that would have not been a successful site. We had to make the adjustments to accommodate the model, because the volume always comes behind what we do.
Sure. So, which also makes a point that if a partner, a potential partner, is an existing franchise business, and we all know that there is so much of churn happening in the overall market. So, an easyGym can be sort of considered, because if you want to actually either revive your fitness business. So if you are in existing fitness business, this can be still interesting for you.
Absolutely, particularly if you have a good location but maybe the wrong model. Our model has proved to be very resilient, both in the good times and in the current times.
And that's right. And then there's one thing, and we know, and I work closely with the UAE market, so I do have some sense. It is a premium pricing market, but my understanding is, and this is across sectors, because that's my business, I work in franchising, everyone wants, I'm not talking about the top 5%, but everyone wants to have great pricing, great product, great experience, but with the best competitive pricing. And that's what sort of easyGym has been doing in London, and the UK, which is the most cutthroat market as far as I know.
That's right. And then, the one thing I should also mention is that, so it's not only about getting the right site, it's not only about getting the right design and the right fit out, but it's also about the process that you take pre-opening. So in terms of pre-sales, I think that's a very important process, because we've proved over time that you can almost get to, and we've achieved it quite a few times, but on average, you can get to break even just within a couple of months of opening, because the effort that you put in the pre-sales really determines how quickly you can get to break even. So we've had quite a few instances where we are cash flow break even from the day we open our doors, but that requires a dedicated effort pre-opening, and that's an important part of it.
And Paul, you would provide that support to your partner?
Yeah, so we will certainly provide the process that we would normally take. I think that's important, and we will assist in any manner and shape that is required.
Now, talking about that and talking about master franchise, I'm not sure if you have covered that in your presentation further, but I just wanted to bring that point. So there are two parts of master franchising. One, of course, the main one is that somebody acquires an exclusive territory, and here we are talking about the UAE. But in that also you have, your equity stores where master franchisee would open their equity stores. Now, do you think easyGym for markets like UAE and other markets would be open for master franchise to also bring in sub-franchisees?
Absolutely. I think our requirement is that the master should open the first unit.
Yeah.
But thereafter, it's up to them to determine whether they go with more corporate side openings or actually just focus on franchising from there forward.
Okay, so this is very important. So if you are considering easyGym and you're looking at this now or later, my understanding, and I've been working with the team for a while now, I think they are a truly fitness plus franchise company. They're a fitness franchise company or a franchise fitness company. But I think the most important thing is easyGym model does not work if you don't have a development plan. Now, how that development plan comes about, that is between your equity stores, between your sub-franchise stores, that needs to be sort of really discussed, but that's going to be an important part. But easyGym is open if you want to acquire the master franchise, that once you open a couple of your own locations, you actually can speed up the development by bringing in the sub-franchise partner, which can offer location and capital. And easyGym management will be working with you to make you efficient, train your team, train yourself, so that you can actually become, let's say, what easyGym is in the UK, in the UAE. So idea is that I think the ideal partner would be who really understands that aspect, that it's not owning about one gym. Although I guess if you have a great location, we can start with that. But if you want to evaluate this opportunity at a master franchise level, you would have to think about bringing in numbers. Now, how those numbers will be actually implemented, easyGym is open for that. Did I get that correct, Paul?
Absolutely. So it all depends on the country in question and the potential. So to use a live example in France, what they did is they happened to be from the industry already, and
Okay.
they converted the initial 6 sites that they had, and then from there they would seek sub-franchisees that had or have a much greater capability. So what they've learned is that for them at least, it's not to say that it's true for everyone.
Sure.
They prefer to go after sub-franchisees that have multi-site aspirations.
Yep.
Because it's just easier to deal with someone who's committed for the bigger term, longer term than just a single unit. So, I think every market is different, but that's what they're adopting in France.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Multi-franchising is a secret of any respectable global franchise brands, starting from McDonald's. So I do get that. And so France, which is the most successful territory after the UK in terms of expansion of the brand, has actually done a proper master franchising format. So when they acquired the brand, and then apart from their corporate location initially, they actually are now sub-franchising. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I should also add that we are really focused on helping masters deliver in their home territory. So our model is actually going, only because we've spent 10 years managing our own corporate sites, we've taken a step back from that focusing on developing the technology, focusing on building all the systems that make the master's life very easy. And to that extent, we even, the UK has actually been mastered out. So for example, you will see within the UK, the person that has acquired the rights to the UK is actually some brothers who own, over 100 subways, and they have an existing franchise, but they have adopted and have acquired the rights to the UK for easyGym. So they have all the infrastructure in place. They've got a big team that have been helping them grow this other big global brand, but they recognize that they can use the same team to help steer the growth in our business. So that's the model we're going towards. It's more about building all the infrastructure, all the technology to help support masters, but we are taking a little step back. We'll continue to have our own corporate sites where we'll continue to innovate and test ideas, but largely it's about working with high quality masters.
Makes a lot of sense, Paul.
Okay. I won't spend too much time on the numbers, but at a high level, I just wanted to say that this has been a model on a 10,000 square foot unit.
Okay.
But I'm not sure why it went off, but while it comes back on, I'll continue to talk about them. But just so people can understand the unit economics that we've enjoyed in the past. So typically, we would take about 8 to 10 weeks to build out a brand new easyGym, including gym equipment. We're talking about $1 million to $1.2 million. We would get to break even within approximately month 4 of opening, and I'm not sure, but I'll carry on. Sorry, I'm not sure why it keeps.
And when you say break even, Paul, you are talking about operationally break even?
Yeah. So the investment break even is about 3 years.
Okay.
3 to 4 years is the total investment break even. But if you're talking operational break even, which is a very important metric in our minds too, is normally within the first 4 or 5 months. As I mentioned, that we had many sites where we achieved that from day one. But I think on average, it sort of comes out about 4 months, 5 months. So I think that's important. Thereafter, it starts to grow.
I think you might want to. We can see your slide now. I don't know what's going on.
Perfect. So this is I guess an indication. So we talked about margins. So it's 35 to 40% margin, and because this is a smaller site, it's been flexed to reflect that. But normally it's about £1 million turnover, 400,000 EBITDA. So 40% is what we've historically achieved.
How many members, Paul?
So
average ballpark.
Yeah, about 4. We averaged 4,200. But this again has been modeled for our new thinking about reduced size. So think of it as a 35 to 40% margin business. Think of it as 3 to 4 year payback, depending on economics and metrics in terms of demographics, and that's the reason why we think that reducing the size is really the way forward.
Sure. And when you say reducing the size, you're talking about 10,000 square feet clubs, right?
Yeah, we think 10,000 is a good initial size. So the 10 to 15,000 is a much better place to be going forward.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, everything is driven by technology. So the entire business model is linked to that. So from access control, CCTV, membership management, websites, it's all built in the cloud, and that's what allows us to scale in the way we can. In terms of growth plans, the next slide might help visualize that. So we are looking to expand, all over the world. Clearly, there's a greater brand recognition in Europe, and so there'll be a bit of focus there. But we have much greater ambitions beyond that, and that's the reason for us being on the show with you, and the reason why we're with you in India.
Sure.
So it's a global aspirational target, and very happy to have any discussion with anyone around these points. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the slide. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a hub and spoke strategy, corporate hubs, which will be what the master will have. 1 to 2 is good, more is better, but we feel that the ability to franchise out is what will drive growth. Clearly, we will focus on the technology side. Clearly, we will focus on helping master teams, because I think that's important. So there will always be a master. There will always be someone in London that has an equivalent to help the master. So whether it's marketing, digital, design, any part of the business, we have an equivalent at our head office to help masters and their teams get ready for the future.
Great. And you have given an indication of the master license fees as well. Of course, once somebody speaks to you, will be able to get them a better proposal, right?
Yeah, I think this is really just a very broad range. As you can imagine, fees are based on the opportunity.
Right.
So if the opportunity in terms of volume of people, competition, and all the rest looks attractive, that's quite often reflected. But it really is a discussion. We're quite open to it. But as you know, it's one of those things where we've invested a lot of money over the last 10 years, and therefore, there's always going to be a fee associated with doing business with us.
Absolutely. And just so that I can add that if you're looking at this from a first opportunity standpoint, a master franchise opportunity would entail that first you buy in the brand and the territory. So that's why there is an initial, you can call it a territory fee, exclusivity fee, or a master franchise, your master licensee fee that gives you the right to trade and operate exclusively in the territory with the brand name. Going forward, you would be also getting the revenues and your share on the sub-franchise development, both on the fees and the royalties. And you would also be then sharing the royalties to the easyGym headquarters.
That's right.
Okay, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, this is future master franchise owner. I think we've covered that in detail. Hopefully I've done my job.
Thank you, Venus. I appreciate it.
No, this was very interesting, Paul. Again, I think, as I said at the beginning of the session, this last year was tough, especially for the fitness business. But I think the way you have utilized that and kind of now are ready to kind of go very aggressive with the brand name, with yourself and the team, it's very interesting. And a market like UAE can, easyGym can have it can compete with the bigger boys. So if you are looking for an opportunity like that, Paul, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, my email is simply paul@easygym.co.uk.
Okay.
You're
there on LinkedIn as well?
On LinkedIn, they can contact you, and of course, love to hear from anyone. And
Sure. So reach out to Paul. You can reach out to us also. We are his partners in India. But UAE is very interesting market. And Paul, so any interest we receive, we'll get back to you. And good luck. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.